The SOS that summoned the wrath of humanity's last war god Part 1. The forgotten Sentinel Jack Miller floated in the observation dome of Outpost Titan 7, his aging body weightless in the low-gravity section. Through the reinforced glass, Saturn's rings stretched across the black canvas of space like an artist's brushstroke. The sight had amazed him once 30 years ago. Now, after 12 years of self-imposed exile, it was just his office view. "System check complete, Commander," said Echo, the station's artificial intelligence. "No anomalies detected." "Stop calling me Commander," Jack muttered, pushing himself toward his workstation. That rank died with the war. Echo's blue holographic display flickered. "My protocols require proper military address for station personnel." Jack snorted. "I'm a glorified watchman, Echo. A relic they stuck out here to keep me occupied." He tapped the outdated console, reviewing the automated defense grid's status reports. The Sol system's outer perimeter defense network, once cutting-edge military technology, now existed mostly as a formality. In the peaceful era following the Proxima War, such defenses were considered unnecessary paranoia. The console chimed with an incoming supply notification. The quarterly shipment was arriving early. Jack sighed, running a hand through his silver-streaked hair. Visitors meant small talk, and small talk meant pretending he didn't mind being forgotten. At 62, Jack Miller bore little resemblance to the legend once known as the Wrath of Sol. His tall frame had grown leaner, his once sharp features softened slightly with age. Only his eyes remained unchanged, steel gray and watchful, never fully at ease. The supply ship, UTS Courier, docked with mechanical precision. Jack straightened his faded uniform jacket out of habit and made his way to the airlock. "Hey, old-timer." A young man in a standard coalition uniform grinned as the door slid open. "Special delivery from the inner planets." "You're early, Ryan," Jack said, helping the courier unload supply crates. Ryan Adams, barely 30, had been making deliveries to Titan 7 for 3 years now. "Figured I'd beat the solar storm they're forecasting. Plus, I brought you something extra." He handed Jack a small package. "Latest entertainment files. Thought you might be tired of the classics by now." Jack accepted the gift with a nod. Small kindnesses still made him uncomfortable. "Thanks. Coffee?" They sat in the small galley, Ryan chatting about coalition news, new colonies being established, scientific breakthroughs, the upcoming 30th anniversary of the peace accords. "They're doing a big memorial thing on Earth," Ryan said, sipping his coffee. "Honoring the veterans. You going?" Jack's expression hardened slightly. "No invitation." "But you're Jack Miller." "The Jack Miller. My grandfather had your battle tactics." Hollow poster on his wall. "Ancient history." Jack stood abruptly. "We should finish unloading." Ryan knew better than to push. The awkward silence lasted until the supplies were transferred and documented. "See you in 3 months, Jack," Ryan said, stepping back into his ship. "Think about the memorial people would remember if you showed up." "That's what I'm afraid of," Jack murmured as the airlock sealed. Alone again, Jack returned to his routine. Equipment checks, perimeter scans, maintenance logs, the mindless tasks of keeping an obsolete station running. At 2200 hours, he prepared for sleep, his day indistinguishable from the thousands before it. Then the alert sounded. Jack was at the console instantly, military reflexes still sharp. "Echo report. Unknown transmission detected at long-range sensors," the AI responded. "Signal origin. Beyond coalition boundaries. Put it through." Static filled the command center, broken by fragments of human voice. "Colony Epsilon. Under. Requesting immediate. Valkyries fall. Repeat. Valkyries fall." Jack froze. His blood ran cold as the fragmented message repeated. "Valkyries fall." A code phrase he hadn't heard in 30 years. A classified emergency protocol known only to senior officers during the war. A call for help from soldiers who believed they faced extinction. "Echo. Verify signal authenticity. Transmission patterns consistent with human origin. Coalition encryption. Detected, though using outdated military protocols. Jack's mind raced. No official colony existed in the Epsilon sector. But after the war, some veterans and civilians had rejected the Coalition's new peaceful direction. Rumors spoke of unauthorized settlements established beyond Coalition space, seeking independence from what they viewed as dangerously naive policies. Echo. Open channel to Coalition command. Minutes later, a young officer's face appeared on the screen. Outpost Titan 7, this is Coalition command. State your emergency. This is Jack Miller. I've intercepted a distress signal using classified military code from the Proxima War era. Origin appears to be the Epsilon sector. Request immediate response team. The officer looked confused. Mr. Miller, our sensors detect no authorized colonies in that region. The signal used Valkyrie's Fall emergency protocol. This requires immediate attention from the highest levels. The officer's expression changed to thinly veiled condescension. Sir, those codes were decommissioned decades ago. Most likely this is signal interference or perhaps someone's idea of a prank. Jack leaned forward. Listen carefully. I was there when those codes were created. They were never made public. This is real. I'll make a note in the log, the officer said dismissively. But there's no need for alarm. The universe is at peace, Mr. Miller. Perhaps at your station you haven't fully adjusted to that reality. The connection ended before Jack could respond. Jack stood motionless for several moments. Then he did something he hadn't done in years. He accessed his personal locker. Inside was a small metal case containing his military neural interface, the device that had once connected him to advanced weapon systems and tactical networks. Echo, continue monitoring for further transmissions from that sector. Record everything. Orders. Acknowledged. May I ask what you intend to do, Jack? Jack examined the neural interface, a silver disc that had once been implanted at the base of his skull. The Coalition had removed such devices from active soldiers after the peace accords, believing the technology too aggressive for their new society. I'm going to find out why someone is using war codes that shouldn't exist anymore. For the first time in decades, Jack felt the familiar sensation of battlefield focus sharpening his mind. Someone remembered the old ways. Someone needed help. And everyone else had forgotten how to fight. Echo. Access personnel files for Coalition Communications Division. Purpose of request? Jack's eyes hardened with determination. I need someone who can help me track this signal properly. Someone smart enough to listen and brave enough to break the rules. As the computer began its search, Jack gazed out at Saturn's rings again. But now he saw them differently. Not as an artist's brushstroke, but as a defensive line. A perimeter. A boundary between safe and unknown. The forgotten sentinel had heard the call to arms. And despite everything, despite 30 years of peace and being left behind, Jack Miller found himself responding in the only way he knew how. Like a soldier. The SOS that summoned the wrath of humanity's last war god Part 2. Echoes of war for 3 days. Jack Miller tried every official channel he could access. Each attempt met the same response. Dismissal, condescension, or worse, pity. To the young officers staffing Coalition Command, he was just an old man chasing war ghosts. On the 4th day, his station communications panel lit up with an incoming call. Not from command, but from a restricted Coalition channel. Mr. Miller, this is Lieutenant Samantha Wright, Communications Division. The woman on the screen looked to be in her early 30s, with short blonde hair and alert blue eyes. She spoke, quietly, as if concerned about being overheard. Do you have a moment to discuss your recent report? Jack studied her face carefully. Depends on whether you're calling to humor an old man or because you actually listened. A small smile crossed her face. The signal you reported wasn't logged in our standard systems, but I found traces of it in our deep space monitoring archives. It's real, and it's still transmitting, though weaker now. Jack felt a cold certainty settle in his chest. And your superiors? They've classified my findings as non-priority. They think it's interference from an abandoned research probe. She leaned closer to the camera. But I recognize military encoding when I see it, even if it's 30 years outdated. Why contact me directly? Because you're Jack Miller. I studied your tactical innovations at the Academy before they removed those courses from the curriculum. Her expression turned serious. And because something about this signal pattern bothers me. It's too regular for a malfunction, too persistent for a prank. Jack nodded slowly. Can you track it to its exact origin? I'm working on it, but I need more processing power than I can access without raising flags, and... She hesitated. I need someone who understands what Valkyrie's fall meant during the war. It meant we were facing extinction, Jack said flatly. It meant conventional options had failed. Sam's eyes widened slightly. Then why would a colony use it now? In peacetime? That's what we need to find out. Jack turned to his station computer. Echo, give Lieutenant Wright secure access to our communication systems. Acknowledged. Access. Granted. Sam looked surprised. Your AI can do that? Most outpost systems can't override Coalition security protocols. Jack almost smiled. Echo is as old as I am. We both have forgotten tricks. Over the next 12 hours, they worked together remotely. Sam redirected Coalition deep space relays, while Jack used Echo's processing power to clean up the signal. By morning, they had both a location and clearer message fragments. Epsilon Eridani, Sam confirmed, her face tired but excited on the video call. About 20 light-years out. And listen to what we've recovered. The audio played through Jack's speakers. Colony Epsilon requests immediate assistance. Unknown entities have breached outer settlements. They appeared peaceful, but massive casualties and defensive systems failing. Valkyrie's fall protocol initiated. Any coalition forces, we are. The message cut off in static. There's no authorized colony in that system, Jack said quietly. No, but there were rumors, Sam replied. 5 years ago, about 2,000 people disappeared from various coalition worlds. Officials classified it as transport accidents, but some believe they left voluntarily to start an independent colony. People who didn't trust the coalition's peaceful approach, Jack surmised. Exactly. Former military, scientists concerned about alien contact protocols, families who lost loved ones in the war. Sam ran a hand through her short hair. I've submitted my findings through official channels, but they won't act. Jack finished for her. Not for an unauthorized colony using outdated distress codes. Sam nodded grimly. Command says, there's no evidence of any credible threat. They'll send an assessment team. In 3 weeks. Jack stood up suddenly, pacing the small control room. Those people don't have 3 weeks. What can we do? We're just 2 people. Jack stopped, looking at the faded coalition emblem on his wall. I'm going to respond. How? You're one man on a monitoring station. There's a decommissioned military vessel in storage orbit around Titan, Jack said. The UTS Harbinger, my old ship from the war. Sam looked shocked. That's theft of coalition property. Your career. My career ended 30 years ago, Lieutenant. Jack interrupted. I'm a museum piece they stuck out here to keep me quiet. A long silence followed. Finally, Sam spoke. The Harbinger would need a small crew. At minimum, a pilot, engineer, and communications officer. Jack studied her carefully. Are you volunteering, Lieutenant Wright? My career would be over too, she said softly. Probably, Jack agreed. But those people sent that signal because they believed someone would come. Someone who remembered what those code words meant. Sam took a deep breath. I can be at Saturn in 36 hours. I know someone who might help with engineering. Former military, works at the Titan shipyards now. Jack nodded. I'll prepare the Harbinger. It won't be pretty. She's been in storage for decades. Will she fly? She'll fly, Jack said with absolute certainty. Those ships were built to last. As Sam signed off to make preparations, Jack turned to the station AI. Echo, transfer your core systems to portable storage. You're coming with us. Acknowledged. May I ask our destination? Epsilon Eridani. That is beyond coalition borders. This action violates multiple regulations. Jack began gathering essential supplies. Yes, it does. You may face severe consequences upon return. If we return, Jack corrected. He paused, looking at his reflection in the darkened view screen. Decades of peace had softened his face, but not his resolve. Echo, access my medical file. Authorization code Miller 7 Alpha. Medical file accessed. Warning, you're military. Augmentations were deactivated as part of the peace accords. Can they be reactivated? Affirmative. However, reactivation after such prolonged dormancy carries significant physical risks. Jack opened a drawer in his quarters that had remained locked for 30 years. Inside lay his old military uniform and a small medical device shaped like a gun. Begin preparation for reactivation sequence. As Echo processed the command, Jack felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Purpose. Whether the coalition understood or not, war was coming back to humanity's doorstep. And Jack Miller, the forgotten sentinel, would meet it the only way he knew how. When Ryan Adams arrived the next day for an unscheduled supply run, he found Jack in his old military uniform, packing equipment. What's happening? Ryan asked, confused. Jack handed him a data chip. When I don't report in tomorrow, give this to your supervisor. It explains everything. Ryan stared at the chip, then at Jack. You're leaving your post? Where are you going? Jack paused, considering his answer carefully. To answer an SOS. Someone remembers the old ways and they need help. I don't understand. I hope you never have to, Jack replied, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. Peace is a gift, Ryan. But sometimes it has a cost. Sometimes it makes us forget what we need to remember. Hours later, as the UTS Harbinger's engines rumbled to life for the first time in decades, Jack knew there was no turning back. Ahead lay an unauthorized mission to help an illegal colony against an unknown threat. Behind lay 30 years of peace, built on comfortable forgetfulness. Jack Miller, once called the Wrath of Soul, was about to remind the universe why humanity had earned that peace in the first place. The SOS that summoned the wrath of humanity's last war god Part 3, The Awakening. The UTS Harbinger drifted through space, its engines running at half power to avoid detection by coalition patrol ships. Inside the bridge, Jack Miller sat in the captain's chair, his body tense with pain. Your vital signs are unstable, Echo's voice reported from the ship's console. The neural reactivation is causing significant stress on your systems. Jack gripped the armrests tighter, sweat beading on his forehead. How long until the process completes? Approximately 4 more hours. I recommend sedation. No, Jack said firmly. I need to stay alert. Sam Wright entered the bridge carrying a medical scanner. Her eyes widened at Jack's condition. Your temperature is 3 degrees above normal. This reactivation process is too dangerous. It's necessary, Jack replied through clenched teeth. Without my augmentations, I'm just an old man. Sam checked the medical readouts. These augmentations, I've only read about them in history files, neural combat systems, enhanced reflexes, tactical processors. Standard issue for command officers during the war, Jack explained, his breathing labored. They were deactivated after the peace accords, too aggressive for the new world order. The ship's communication system chimed. Bridge, this is Williams. You better come down to engineering. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Pete Williams stood before an open panel, his weathered face concerned. At 55, he was younger than Jack, but still a relic from the war era. His large hands, perfect for mechanical work, gestured at the exposed circuitry. The power regulation system is failing, he explained. This ship's been in storage too long. Jack studied the blinking warning lights. Can you fix it? Pete rubbed his gray-streaked beard. Sure, but we'll need to power down for at least 6 hours, and we'll need parts. Where do we get parts for a 30-year-old military vessel? Sam asked. Jack and Pete exchanged knowing looks. There's an old supply depot on Enceladus, Jack said. Officially decommissioned, but the coalition never removes anything completely. That's within Saturn's security zone, Sam protested. Coalition patrols will detect us. Not if we use the stealth systems, Jack countered. The Harbinger was designed to run dark. Hours later, the ship entered orbit around Enceladus, Saturn's sixth largest moon. Its icy surface gleamed beneath them as Jack and Pete prepared for a surface excursion. The neural reactivation isn't complete, Sam reminded Jack as he strapped on an old model spacesuit. Your augmentations are only at 40% capacity. 40% is better than nothing, Jack replied, checking the oxygen levels in his tank. On the moon's surface, Jack felt the weight of his years despite the low gravity. Each step required concentration. The old military depot was half buried in ice, its entrance sealed by time and neglect. Coalition sure was quick to bury the war, Pete commented as they cut through the frozen hatch. Can't blame them, I suppose. 20 million dead has a way of making folks want to move on. Inside, the facility was dark and cold, preserved by the vacuum and ice. Jack's helmet lights revealed rows of storage containers, each marked with faded military codes. There, Pete pointed to a section labeled Prophet Class Vessel Components. That's what we need. As they gathered the necessary parts, Jack's neural system suddenly flared with pain. He stumbled, catching himself against a container. You all right? Pete asked, concern in his voice. Just the augmentations integrating, Jack managed. As he spoke, his vision changed. Tactical overlays appeared in his field of view, analyzing their surroundings, calculating distances, identifying potential threats and escape routes. It's coming back, Jack whispered. When they returned to the Harbinger, Sam was waiting with urgent news. Coalition vessels are conducting search patterns near Titan. They know we've taken the ship. How long until they find us? Jack asked. If we stay hidden on Enceladus, maybe 12 hours. Once we break orbit, she shrugged. Minutes, probably. Pete hefted the salvaged parts. I need 6 hours to install these and restart the engines. Jack made his decision. Do it. We'll use the moon's ice plumes for cover when we launch. He turned to Sam. Send a burst transmission to the colony, on a secure channel. Let them know help is coming. While Pete worked on the engines, Jack retreated to his old quarters. The small room was exactly as he had left it decades ago, preserved like a museum exhibit. On the wall hung a faded photograph of a much younger Jack with his crew from the war. Sam found him there, staring at the photo. You miss them, she said softly. Every day, Jack replied. They deserved the peace they fought for. I just couldn't adjust to it. Is that why you exiled yourself to Titan 7? Jack sat heavily on the narrow bunk. After the war, they offered me a desk job, planning peaceful exploration missions, training new recruits who would never see combat. He shook his head. I was built for war, Sam. When it ended, I had nowhere to belong. Sam sat beside him. And now? Now someone needs the man I used to be. Jack's eyes had a new clarity as his neural systems continued their reactivation. I just hope I can still be him. 6 hours later, the Harbinger's engines hummed to life. Pete's voice came over the comm. We're ready to fly, but those engines won't take full power for long. Jack returned to the bridge, moving with new purpose. His neural augmentations had reached 60% capacity, enough to dull the pain and sharpen his senses. As he took the captain's chair, Sam and Pete exchanged glances. Something had changed in Jack's demeanor. His movements were more precise, his gaze more focused. Coalition patrol ships have changed course, Sam reported. They're heading toward Enceladus. They must have detected our power signature. Plot. A course through Saturn's rings, Jack ordered. We'll use the debris field for cover. The rings? Pete sounded alarmed. That's suicide without modern navigational systems. We don't have modern systems, Jack agreed, a hint of a smile touching his lips. We have something better. We have me. As the Harbinger broke from Enceladus's surface, riding the moon's ice plumes into space, Jack felt his combat systems fully engaging for the first time in 30 years. Data streamed through his mind, ship trajectories, debris patterns, patrol, routes. 2 coalition cutters on intercept course, Sam announced tensely. Maximum thrust to the rings, Jack commanded, and prepare for combat maneuvers. As the massive rings of Saturn loomed before them, Pete voiced what they all felt. This is where we find out if the old stories about you were true. Jack's hands moved confidently over the controls. The stories never told the half of it. The Harbinger plunged into the swirling debris of Saturn's rings, with coalition ships in pursuit. And deep within Jack Miller, the last war god of humanity fully awakened. The SOS that summoned the wrath of humanity's last war god, Part 4. The last war god, the journey to Epsilon Eridani took 11 days. For Jack Miller, each day brought more clarity as his neural augmentations continued to reintegrate with his aging body. His movements became smoother, his mind sharper. The tactical data flowing through his consciousness felt both foreign and familiar, like a language half forgotten, but now returning. We're approaching the outer edge of the Epsilon Eridani system, Sam announced from the navigation console. Long-range sensors are picking up unusual energy signatures. Jack stood from the captain's chair, studying the sensor display. His augmented vision processed the data faster than the ship's computers. Those aren't human energy patterns. Alien. Vessels? Pete asked, looking up from his engineering station. Yes, Jack confirmed. At least 12 of them surrounding the 4th planet, and they're big. Sam adjusted the sensors. I'm detecting human life signs on the planet. Several thousand of them concentrated in one area. Must be the colony. Any response to our transmissions? Jack asked. Sam shook her head. Still nothing. The alien vessels might be blocking communications. Jack studied the tactical display, his augmented mind calculating possible approaches. Take us in slow minimal power. Let's get a better look before we announce ourselves. As the Harbinger crept closer to the 4th planet, they got their first visual of the alien ships. They were unlike anything in Coalition records, massive organic-looking vessels that seemed to pulse with internal light. They moved with unnatural coordination, maintaining a perfect blockade around the human colony. Those ships, Pete whispered, they're moving like fingers on a hand, like they're all controlled by one mind. Jack's neural systems flashed with recognition. Because they are. Echo, access my sealed war records. Authorization Miller 9 Delta. The AI's voice responded. Records accessed. Warning. These files are classified under the Peace Accords. Display the Proxima Centauri incident final battle. The main screen filled with footage from 30 years ago, a brief chaotic battle near Proxima Centauri. The images showed similar, organic ships, though smaller, engaging with a human fleet. The official record says we encountered a spatial anomaly at Proxima, Jack explained. That was the lie we told the public. What we actually found was an advanced alien intelligence. We called them the Nephilim. Sam and Pete stared at the screen in shock. Why wasn't this made public? Sam asked. Because we barely survived the encounter, Jack said grimly. We destroyed their scout vessels, but the cost was high. The military leadership feared that revealing an advanced hostile species would cause panic. So they classified everything and redirected humanity toward peaceful exploration in safer directions. And now they've found us again, Pete concluded. Or we found them, Jack corrected. This colony ventured into space we deliberately avoided after the war. A sudden alert cut through their conversation. Multiple energy spikes, Sam reported. They've detected us. 3 of the alien vessels broke formation, moving toward the Harbinger with unnerving speed. Battle stations, Jack ordered calmly. His augmentations were now operating at near full capacity, battle scenarios running through his mind with machine-like efficiency. Pete, divert power to shields and weapon systems. Weapons? Pete looked surprised. This ship was decommissioned. All offensive systems were removed. Jack smiled thinly. That's what the records say. But some of us didn't trust the peace to last forever. He placed his hand on a seemingly blank section of the control panel. A hidden compartment slid open, revealing a set of controls not on any official schematic. Military security protocols. Recognize Command Authority Miller Jack. Authorization Archangel 7. The ship's computer responded in a different voice. Command Authority recognized weapon systems online. The Harbinger shuddered as dormant systems activated throughout the vessel. On the hull, concealed weapon ports opened, revealing pulse, cannons and missile launchers that had remained hidden for 30 years. You kept weapons on a decommissioned vessel? Sam asked, shocked. Not just me, Jack replied. A few old soldiers who remembered what it meant to be prepared. We hid them on several ships before they were mothballed. His expression hardened. Looks like we were right to do so. The alien vessels accelerated toward them, their organic hulls pulsing with energy. They're charging weapons, Sam warned. Evasive pattern Sigma 3, Jack ordered. His hands moved over the controls with practiced precision. Target the lead, vessel's propulsion systems. The Harbinger banked sharply, avoiding the first energy blast from the alien ships. The old vessel groaned under the strain, but held together as Jack pushed it through maneuvers it hadn't performed in decades. Firing solution locked, Sam confirmed. Fire. The Harbinger's hidden weapons blazed to life, striking the lead alien vessel with surprising accuracy. The organic ship shuddered, green fluid leaking from its wounded hull. Direct hit, Sam reported. But the other two are still coming. Jack's augmented mind calculated trajectories and weak points faster than any normal human could. They move, in perfect synchronization. That's their strength, but also their weakness. They can't conceive of truly independent action. He guided the Harbinger into a series of unpredictable maneuvers, confusing the alien targeting systems. Each time they fired, Jack was already moving the ship elsewhere. I can't hold the engines at this output for long, Pete warned. The power, couplings are starting to fail. Just give me 2 more minutes, Jack replied, his focus absolute. The Harbinger spun and dove, drawing the alien vessels into a complex dance. When they adjusted to pursue, Jack suddenly reversed direction, bringing his ship directly at the closest alien vessel. Firing all forward weapons, he announced calmly. The Harbinger's cannons tore into the alien ship at point-blank range. The organic vessel convulsed, its coordinated movements failing as critical systems were destroyed. The third ship is retreating, Sam noted with disbelief. It's heading back to the main fleet. Jack didn't celebrate. They'll adapt to our tactics. Next time they'll send more ships. He turned to Sam. Open a channel to the colony. All frequencies. After several tense moments, a response came through. A haggard man's face appeared on screen. This is Colony Epsilon. Who are you? Jack Miller, commanding the UTS Harbinger. We received your distress call. The man's expression shifted from suspicion to desperate hope. Miller? The Jack Miller from the Proxima War? Yes. We're here to help. The man seemed to age before their eyes. Thank God. They've been attacking for weeks. Our defenses are failing. We've lost half the colony already. We're going to get you out, Jack promised him, but first we need to break their blockade. How? You're one ship against a fleet. Jack exchanged glances with Sam and Pete. Because I've fought them before, and I know how they think. His neural augmentations highlighted tactical information about the alien fleet's formation. They operate as a collective consciousness. Their ships are like appendages of a single organism. The colony leader looked confused. What are you saying? I'm saying, Jack replied, his eyes cold with determination, that to save your people I need to become what I once was. The thing these creatures feared 30 years ago. He straightened in his chair, the posture of a military commander, returning fully. Prepare your people for evacuation. The wrath of Sol has returned. As the communication ended, Sam looked at Jack with new understanding. That's what they called you in the war, isn't it? The wrath of Sol. Jack nodded, his enhanced mind already formulating battle plans. It was a different time. I was a different man. He looked out at the alien blockade, at the thousands of lives, depending on him. But sometimes the past is exactly what we need. The SOS that summoned the wrath of humanity's last war god Part 5. Humanity Remembers. Jack Miller stood on the bridge of the Harbinger, his neural augmentations processing tactical data at superhuman speeds. Around him, Sam and Pete worked frantically to prepare the old ship for what was coming. Colony evacuation is underway, Sam reported. They're loading people onto their transport vessels, but they need at least 6 hours. Jack studied the alien fleet's formation through the viewscreen. We don't have 6 hours. The Nephilim are regrouping. Then we need reinforcements, Pete said. We should call the coalition. I already did, Sam replied. Used an emergency channel, but even at maximum speed, they're 20 hours away. Jack's enhanced mind calculated their odds. 1 outdated vessel against 11 advanced alien ships. The numbers were grim. Then we make our stand here. We can't fight them all, Pete protested. We don't need to beat them all, Jack explained. We just need to disrupt their collective consciousness long enough for the colony to escape. His eyes narrowed as his tactical systems highlighted a larger vessel at the center of the alien formation. There, that's their command ship, the nexus of their hive mind. Over the next hour, Jack outlined his plan. It was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it played to their single advantage, the unpredictability of independent human action against a hive mind. You want to fly directly at their main fleet? Sam asked incredulously. Jack nodded. The Nephilim can't comprehend individual sacrifice. They function as parts of a whole. To deliberately risk one's existence for others is beyond their understanding. It's beyond mine too, Pete muttered. This is crazy. Crazy is what humans do best, Jack replied with a hint of a smile. It's why we survived the war 30 years ago. We did what no logical species would do. As they prepared for battle, a new signal came through their communication system. Sam's face paled as she recognized the frequency. It's Coalition Command. Admiral Laura Barnes appeared on the main screen, her stern face lined with both age and authority. Miller, I should have known it was you. Jack stood straight, facing her without apology. Admiral, I assume you're here to arrest us. I'm here because Lieutenant Wright's report finally reached someone who remembered your name, the Admiral replied. Someone who served during the war. Someone who knew what Valkyrie's fall really meant. Then you know what we're facing, the Admiral nodded gravely. The Nephilim. We hoped they'd never return. She looked off screen briefly, then back at Jack. I've dispatched every available ship to your location, but they won't arrive in time. We know, Jack said simply. A long silence stretched between them. Finally, the Admiral spoke. The official record will show that I ordered you to stand down and wait for reinforcements. Jack understood immediately. And the unofficial record? Will show that Jack Miller, as he always did, disobeyed orders to do what needed to be done. A hint of respect showed in her eyes. Good hunting, Commander. The Coalition will be there to pick up the pieces. As the communication ended, Sam looked at Jack in amazement. They're letting us proceed. They're letting me take the fall if this goes wrong, Jack corrected her. Giving the Coalition deniability. It's how things worked during the war. The alien fleet began moving, their organic ships forming a new pattern. On the colony planet, thousands of people rushed to board evacuation vessels, their fate hanging on the actions of one old warship and its 3-person crew. They're launching smaller vessels, Sam warned. Dozens of them. Jack's augmented vision identified the smaller craft immediately. Fighter equivalents, they're sending them to attack the colony's evacuation ships. He turned to his companions, his decision made. Sam, Pete, take the escape pod. Get to the colony and help coordinate their evacuation. What about you? Sam asked, though she already knew the answer. I'm taking the Harbinger into the heart of their fleet. Pete shook his head. You can't pilot this ship alone. I won't be alone, Jack replied. My neural augmentations can interface directly with Echo. We'll control the ship together. His expression softened slightly. This was always a one-way mission for me. After brief but emotional goodbyes, Sam and Pete departed in the escape pod. Jack watched them go, then turned back to the view screen where the massive alien fleet waited. Echo, initiate deep neural interface. Warning, the AI responded. Deep interface will place extreme stress on your biological systems. Do it anyway, Jack gasped as his consciousness expanded, merging with the ship's systems. He could feel every circuit, every weapon, as extensions of his own body. Pain faded into the background as his focus narrowed to a single purpose. The Harbinger accelerated toward the alien fleet, weapons charged. As Jack expected, the smaller Nephilim vessels broke away to intercept him, while others continued toward the colony. Let's show them why they feared us, Jack whispered. What followed would later be described in Coalition records as the last dance of the Wrath of Sol. The Harbinger moved with impossible precision, evading coordinated attacks while striking back with devastating accuracy. Jack's merged consciousness with the ship allowed maneuvers no normal pilot could achieve, confusing the hive mind tactics of the Nephilim. For every alien vessel he destroyed, 3 more came at him. The Harbinger took hit after hit. Systems failing, hull breaching. But still Jack pushed forward closer to the command ship. In the colony below, Sam and Pete helped coordinate the evacuation, watching the battle unfold above them. He's drawing them away from us, Sam realized, giving us time. When the Harbinger was less than a kilometer from the Nephilim command vessel, most of its weapons were destroyed, its engines failing. Jack, blood streaming from his nose as his neural systems overloaded, made his final move. Echo, upload virus protocol Phoenix. Uploading. This protocol will overload all remaining systems. I know. With its last burst of power, the Harbinger rammed into the command vessel, its computers, broadcasting a virus designed 30 years ago to disrupt the Nephilim hive mind. The explosion was visible from the planet's surface as both ships were consumed in blinding light. In that moment, the alien fleet faltered, their perfect coordination shattered as the central consciousness was disrupted. The evacuation ships launched safely, escaping the system. Hours later, when Coalition forces arrived, they found the colony evacuated and the Nephilim fleet scattered. And drifting among the debris was a single escape pod, its life support barely functioning. Inside, barely alive, they found Jack Miller. 3 months later, in the main hall of Coalition headquarters on Earth, Jack stood before the assembled leaders of humanity. His body was still recovering, his neural augmentations permanently damaged, but his mind remained sharp. The Nephilim have withdrawn, he reported. But they will return. They see us as a threat now, a species capable of actions they cannot predict. Admiral Barnes stepped forward. Then we will be ready. The Coalition has re-established the Defense Division with you as its advisor. Jack looked out at the faces watching him, some afraid, some hopeful, all changed by the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe. Among them stood Sam and Pete, now officers in the new Defense Division. For 30 years, we chose to forget the lessons of war, Jack told them. We wanted to believe that peace meant never having to fight again, but sometimes remembering how to fight is what keeps the peace. As he stepped down from the podium, Sam approached him. The new defense fleet needs a flagship. They're recommissioning the Harbinger-class vessels. And they need a name for the first one, Pete added. Jack smiled slightly. What did you have in mind? They're calling it the Remembrance, Sam said. To ensure we never forget again. That evening, Jack stood at the observation window of his quarters looking out at the stars. The neural pain was gone now, replaced by a peculiar sense of peace. He had been built for war, prepared for the day when humanity would need to remember its strength. That day had come and humanity had remembered. The war god could rest now. Not forever, never that, but for a while, and that was enough.